Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful evidence-based tool for deeper learning. It's a way to move past just, memorizing facts and to start truly understanding the world around you.
So let's start with a challenge that I think we've all faced, right? We read books, we watch lectures, we gather tons of information, but when it's time to actually explain it or use it, we kind of struggle to see how all those little pieces fit together.
Well, there's this deceptively simple tool called a concept map that offers a powerful solution. It's basically a graphic organizer that makes your thinking visible. It lets you represent what you know, connect the dots between ideas, and finally see that big picture.
So in this explainer, here's what we're going to do. We'll walk through what concept maps actually are, the cognitive science that makes them work so well, two really important rules for building them, how to put them into practice, and finally, the trade-offs that make this whole strategy a worthwhile investment for your brain. All right, let's kick things off with our first topic. What exactly is a concept map? The idea of drawing out your thoughts has been around forever, but the modern concept map is designed for one specific thing, to help us stop being just fact collectors and start becoming true idea connectors. It's all about building a web of knowledge, not just a list of bullet points. So, why does this simple tool work so darn well? Well, as we're about to see, it's not just about drawing boxes and lines. Oh no, there's some powerful cognitive science going on here that makes concept mapping an absolute powerhouse for learning. See, according to cognitive scientist Dr. Kripa Sunder, and her research is really the foundation for all this, the real power here is that concept mapping is what she calls a packed strategy. And what that means is it doesn't just do one thing well. It actually bundles multiple evidence-based learning techniques. Stuff that's been proven to work, all into one single activity. So what exactly is packed in here? Well, think about it. As you're building a map, you're doing all this stuff at once. You're practicing retrieval by pulling ideas out of your memory. You're using elaboration to explain how they connect. And you're organizing your own mental schema, basically building a logical structure for what you know in real time. And this quote right here, this perfectly illustrates the map's most underrated feature. It shows you what you don't know. When a concept just doesn't seem to fit, as Dr. Sunder says, it's visually screaming at you. It points out exactly where your knowledge is shaky and where you need to focus. Okay, so we know why it works, but how do we actually unlock all that cognitive power? It's not enough to just throw a bunch of ideas on a page. Dr. Sunder really emphasizes two critical rules that take this from a simple brainstorming diagram to a serious learning tool. First, you absolutely need to frame your map with a strong guiding question. This gives you focus and scope, and it keeps you from getting totally overwhelmed. But the crucial part, the real game changer, is the second step. You have to use linking words on the lines that connect your concepts. As Dr. Sunder explains, this one little step is what pushes your learning harder. It forces you to go beyond just saying, hey, these two things are related, and makes you spell out exactly how they're related. And that, right there, is the difference between simple brainstorming and deep, meaningful learning. And just look at the difference. A basic map might just draw a line between concept maps and graphical organizers. Okay, fine. But a powerful map adds the linking words "are a type of" to explain the precise nature of that connection. That tiny little addition forces a much, much higher level of thinking. So we know what they are, we know why they work. Let's make this really concrete with 3 practical ways that anybody, educators, learners, can start using concept maps right away. We'll quickly look at 3 different applications, using some pre-made expert maps to introduce a topic, using maps for more dynamic note-taking while you're learning, and then using them as a quick, low-stakes check for understanding. First up, expert maps. This is where a teacher creates a map at the start of a unit. It basically acts like a visual syllabus or a roadmap. It gives students what Dr. Sunder calls a brain hook, so they can see how all the concepts are going to connect in the weeks ahead. Just a little word of caution, though. Start simple, or you might end up with what's known as concept map shock. Second idea, dynamic note-taking. Instead of just writing down long, linear paragraphs, students can actually build a concept map as they're learning. The map can grow and change, and it becomes a visual record of how their own knowledge is getting more complex and interconnected. It really forces you to focus on the big ideas. And third, maps are just perfect for formative assessments. A teacher can hand out a map with some of the concept bubbles or those little linking words left blank. The students then fill them in. It becomes a super quick, low-stakes fill-in-the-blanks activity to just see where everyone's at.
Now, it's important to be realistic here. Using this strategy effectively, it's not effortless. It really does require a conscious investment. But it's an investment that has a massive payoff for your learning. So what's the catch? While the two main trade-offs are time and effort, let's be honest, it takes more time to build a thoughtful map than it does to just reread your notes. And it is mentally demanding to find those perfect linking words. But the payoff is where it really counts. You get a much deeper, more robust, and more connected understanding of the material that actually sticks with you. And that brings us to why this matters more now than ever. Dr. Sundar sums it up perfectly. In a world where AI can give us answers in a split second, the critical human skill isn't just having information anymore, it's knowing the boundaries of our own understanding. Concept maps built that exact skill. Which brings us to a final thought, and a little challenge for you. We've just covered a lot of ground on what concept maps are, why they work, and how to use them. But what's the best way to really find out if you understood it all? Well, I think you already know the answer. We've given you the concepts. Now it's your turn to make the connections and build your very own concept map of this explainer.
Because as Dr. Sundar so powerfully reminds us, true understanding never comes from passively watching or listening. The learning is in the doing. Thanks for watching.